Peace and grace to your soul, beloved child of God. If you're hearing this message, welcome to our channel. Before we share this urgent angelic revelation about what your soul has been trying to tell you, please subscribe, click that bell, and join our growing spiritual family. And if this message speaks to your spirit, comment below a powerful word. Right, I'm ready for the truth. Go ahead, it's your declaration to the heavens, and if you feel led, you can support this channel through a super thanks. It helps keep these angel messages flowing to more souls like yours. Alright, dear one, let's begin. Beloved soul, have you ever noticed how you feel after meeting with certain people? You probably know what I'm talking about. That heavy feeling or silence between your interactions. This invisible weight that follows you home. That's your energy field. Dan Carl Jung warned us precisely about these people. But nowadays, these 7 behaviors have been normalized. They aren't normalized. No, it's not just how relationships work, and you're definitely not crazy for seeing this. You've simply been trained systematically to confuse love with guilt, to confuse peace with silence, to confuse emotional neglect with maturity. You've been programmed to perform calm, while your confidence bleeds out underneath. And worst of all, your energy field, your life currency, which decides all money, all happiness, every good and bad thing in your life, gets sucked dry by these people. But in this video, you will learn all the tactics they use and how to protect yourself so you can control your own destiny. So let's start with the first. It's the softest but the deadliest. Behavior 1. Mockery disguised as humor. It didn't feel like abuse. Not at first, it felt like a joke. They teased you in front of the group and everyone laughed, including you. You smirked, shrugged it off, maybe even clapped back with a sarcastic jab of your own. But when you got home and things were finally quiet, something about it kept echoing. Not what they said, what they meant. It wasn't the first time either. They made fun of your ideas, your clothes, your goals, your body. Sometimes it was subtle. Other times you were the main event, and every time you played along because calling it out would have made you look weak, too sensitive, no sense of humor. So you told yourself, I can take it. But here's the truth. No one ever taught you. Humiliation doesn't hurt less just because it came with a smile. Carl Jung would call this symbolic violence. When emotional damage is wrapped in language so light it can't be confronted without being dismissed, and the more you tolerate it, the more it rewires your brain. You start believing what's being said, not just out loud, but underneath the words. You'll never be taken seriously. You'll always be the guy who almost made it. You're not dangerous, you're safe, laughable, and the worst part, you start participating in your own diminishment. You mock yourself before anyone else can. You turn into the easy target to keep the peace. But something in you is waking up new, and if you're being honest, you're not laughing anymore, not really, because deep down, you know exactly what's happening. You've been training people with your silence, your laughter, your shrugs, that it's okay to break you down in public, as long as it's framed as fun, and the emotional cost. Your voice gets smaller, your presence gets softer, your edge gets dull, until one day, you stop speaking up altogether, because you don't know where the performance ends and the real you begins. You weren't born to be a punchline. You weren't built to be the safest man in the room, the one everyone laughs at because they know you'll never push back. Mockery is not how men bond. Mockery is how unspoken resentment gets disguised. You don't need louder jokes, you need clear boundaries. Because the next time someone uses you as target practice and calls it love, you'll either call it out, or you'll call it home. Behavior 2. Emotional invalidation. You bring something up. Not to start a fight, not to make a scene, just to be honest. You say you're hurt, that something didn't sit right, that something's been off lately, and then you hear it. You're overthinking it. You always take things so personally. It's not that deep. You don't even get a full sentence out before it's already been dismissed. So, you start editing yourself. You rehearse before you speak. You wait for the right moment that never comes. You drop hints instead of being direct. You soften your language. You call it communicating better. But it's not that. It's an emotional translation for people who never learned how to listen, and the longer you stay in this pattern, the more dangerous it gets. Because eventually, you stop bringing things up altogether. You convince yourself it's not worth it. That you're just being sensitive, that maybe they're right, maybe you're overreacted. Maybe your emotions really are too much. Maybe it's you. Carl Jung called this psychic repression. When the parts of yourself that are inconvenient to others get buried so deep, you forget they were ever real. But they don't die, they just mute their kind. If you've ever had emotions explode out of nowhere, rage, panic, total shutdown, it's probably because you've been silencing yourself for too long. Here's what nobody tells you. Every time someone invalidates your feelings, and you accept it, you train your nervous system to self-abandon, and your body keeps score. You develop anxiety. You lose your sex drive. You get exhausted for no reason. You find yourself lashing out in ways you don't understand. Then apologizing like you're the villain in your own life, but you're not. You're just starved for space. Space to feel something, and not be judged for it. Space to express without being corrected. Space to say, this matters to me, and have that be enough. Here's the worst part. Sometimes emotional invalidation doesn't come from people who hate you. It comes from people who love you, but are terrified of their own feelings. So when you bring yours to the surface, they shut them down, not out of cruelty, out of discomfort, but to your nervous system, it doesn't matter. What matters is that every time it happens, you lose another inch of your voice. Let's be real, if you can't feel safe expressing something small, how the hell are you supposed to speak when it really counts? You're not overreacting. You're responding to a lifetime of being told your emotions are inconvenient. That's not weakness, that's a system failure. One you never chose. But you can choose to stop repeating, and that brings us to the most sinister pattern of all. The one that doesn't just dismiss your truth, it convinces you it never existed in the first place. Let's talk about gaslighting and how it rewires your brain to turn against itself. Behavior. 3. Gaslighting. You say, something happened, not an opinion, a fact. You remember the moment, the words, the look on their face, and then they say, that's not what I said. You're imagining things. You always twist stuff around, and suddenly you're not defending yourself anymore. You're defending your own memory, and it doesn't matter how calm you are, how clear, how certain, they won't meet you there. They shift the tone. Flip the script. Now you're the problem. You're emotional. You're unstable. You're attacking them, and the worst part, you start believing it. Gaslighting isn't just lying, it's psychological inversion. When someone takes your truth and holds it upside down long enough, that you start apologizing for it. You walk away from conversations with less clarity than when you walked in. You second-guess things you know happened. You edit your story to match their comfort. You slowly start asking questions like, maybe I misremembered, maybe I'm the one overreacting, maybe I should just drop it. Carl Jung didn't use the word gaslight, but he warned us about its effects. He talked about the fracturing of the self. When the psyche splits, under pressure, because it's being forced to live two realities at once, the one your body remembers and the one you're being told is real. That fracture creates doubt. That doubt becomes confusion, and that confusion eventually becomes identity loss. Gaslighting isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a smile and a subtle correction. Sometimes it's a calm tone that says, you're crazy, without ever using those words. And because it feels rational, you buy it. You tell yourself it's a miscommunication, a bad day, a misunderstanding, but deep down something in you keeps ringing the alarm. Your gut tightens, your chest gets heavy, you leave the room and feel like something just happened. But you can't explain it. Let me tell you what did happen. You were taught to doubt your inner compass and call it emotional maturity. That's not maturity, that's mental corrosion. Here's the scariest part. Once you've been gaslit long enough by someone else, you start gaslighting yourself. You feel angry but talk yourself out of it. You feel hurt, but minimize it before anyone else gets the chance. You start hiding your feelings from your own mind so you don't have to question them anymore. That's when you know it's deep. Gaslighting doesn't just confuse you, it rewrites your instincts. And if you tolerate it long enough, you lose your ability to tell danger from love. But here's the line. If someone makes you question your memory every time you speak your truth, that is not a relationship. That's a power game, and the only way to win is to walk off the board completely. Behavior 4. Silent contempt. They don't yell, they don't insult you, they don't storm out or slam doors, they just stop seeing you. No eye contact, no warmth, no effort. They speak around you, over you, like your background noise. You're not being hurt with words, you're being erased with silence. And here's the twisted part, because they're not being mean. You start convincing yourself that you're overreacting, but the ache in your chest doesn't lie. The weight in the room, the feeling of being invisible. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow self and how when parts of us are ignored, they don't disappear, they become a source of internal conflict. When someone treats you with contempt, they are not just dismissing you, they are telling your subconscious that you are unworthy, unseen, and expendable, and if you accept that message, even silently, you start to diminish yourself. You speak less, you offer less, you become smaller, hoping to not offend, hoping to be seen again, but contempt feeds on itself. It grows in silence, until it consumes the relationship and your sense of self-worth. You might find yourself trying harder and harder to get their attention, to earn their approval, to prove your value. But their silence only deepens. Their gaze only becomes more distant. Because contempt is not a reaction, it's a judgment, a decision that you are less than, and you can't argue with a judgment. You can only leave it. This behavior is insidious because it leaves no visible scars, only a deep festering wound in your spirit. You're left wondering if you truly exist, if your presence truly matters, but your existence is not dependent on their recognition. Your value is inherent, not earned through their fleeting attention. If someone consistently treats you with silent contempt, they are not showing you respect. They are showing you their own brokenness, and you are not obligated to heal it, at the cost of your own soul. Recognize this behavior and reclaim your space, your voice, your worth, by refusing to be erased. Behavior 5. The blame shift. You bring up a problem, a conflict, a hurt, and before you can even explain, it's twisted back onto you. Well, if you hadn't, you made me do that. It's your fault because suddenly, their actions are a direct result of your failings. Their cruelty's your responsibility. Their inability to self-regulate is your burden. This isn't accountability, it's an evasion tactic, a way to avoid confronting their own shadow by projecting it onto you. Carl Jung spoke extensively about projection, how we tend to see our own unacknowledged flaws in others. When someone constantly shifts blame, they are telling you two things. 1. They refuse to take responsibility for their own actions. 2. They see you as a convenient scapegoat for their internal chaos. You might find yourself constantly apologizing for things you didn't do, for feelings you have a right to feel. You walk on eggshells, afraid to upset them, because any ripple you create will somehow become your fault. This dynamic creates a cycle of guilt and shame, where you constantly feel inadequate, always trying to fix yourself to prevent their next outburst or their next accusation. But the problem isn't you, it's their inability to face themselves, their refusal to look inward. This behavior drains your energy, because you're constantly fighting a battle that isn't yours to win. You can't force someone to see their own truth if they are committed to living in denial. Your only power lies in refusing to accept their blame, refusing to carry their burdens, understanding that their projections are a reflection of them, not you. Set clear boundaries. Refuse to engage in blame games and protect your energy from their chaotic projections. Behavior 6. Conditional affection. They give you love, but it comes with strings attached. They praise you when you conform to their desires. They withhold affection when you assert your independence. You feel a constant need to perform, to be the good son, daughter, partner, friend, to earn their approval, their love. This isn't genuine connection. It's manipulation. It creates an environment where you are constantly seeking validation from an external source, losing touch with your own inner worth. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, becoming your authentic self, free from external pressures. Conditional affection stunts this process. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of pleasing others. For a fleeting taste of love, you might find yourself changing your opinions, suppressing your true desires, or sacrificing your boundaries just to maintain peace or to receive that desired approval. But the love you receive under these conditions is hollow. It doesn't nourish your soul, it starves it, because it teaches you that your worth is dependent on someone else's mood or their demands. True love is unconditional. It allows for growth, for individuality, for imperfections. It doesn't require you to shrink or to perform. If someone's affection feels like a reward for obedience, rather than a celebration of your being, it's a red flag. Recognize it and seek connections where you are loved, for simply being you, unconditionally. Behavior 7. Victim mentality. This is the person who constantly portrays themselves as the victim. In every scenario, nothing is ever their fault. Life is always happening to them, never for them. They're always the wronged party, the misunderstood one, the one suffering because of others' actions. This behavior subtly drains your energy, because you find yourself constantly trying to fix their problems, to rescue them, to offer endless sympathy and solutions, only for them to find a reason why nothing will work or why it's still someone else's fault. Carl Jung recognized the shadow aspect of self-pity and how it can prevent true growth. The victim mentality traps both the individual and those around them in a cycle of helplessness. You become their emotional crutch, their sounding board for endless grievances, but they never take action to change their circumstances, because being a victim gives them a sense of control, a source of attention, and an excuse to avoid personal responsibility. You might feel exhausted after interactions with them, drained and emotionally depleted, because you've been pouring your energy into a bottomless pit of self-pity. You cannot rescue someone who doesn't want to be rescued. You cannot empower someone who chooses powerlessness. Your empathy is a gift, but it should not be a tool for your own depletion. Recognize the victim mentality and protect your boundaries. Offer support, yes, but refuse to carry their cross for them. Empowerment comes from within, not from endless external validation. Protecting your energy field, beloved soul. If any of these behaviors resonate, understand that you are not alone and you are not crazy. You've simply been operating in environments that subtly diminished your light. But now, you are aware. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Here's how to protect yourself. 1. Acknowledge the truth. Call these behaviors what they are: mockery, invalidation, gaslighting, contempt, blame, conditional love. Don't sugarcoat them. 2. Set clear boundaries. This is crucial. When someone exhibits these behaviors, calmly state what you will and will not tolerate. I don't appreciate that kind of humor. I hear you, but this is how I feel. I remember it differently. I'm not responsible for your choices. 3. Reduce exposure. If possible, limit your time with individuals who consistently engage in these tactics. Your energy is precious. 4. Trust your gut. That heavy feeling, that restlessness, that sense of unease, your body is giving you vital information. Listen to it. It knows when your energy field is under attack. 5. Reclaim your narrative. Combat gaslighting by journaling or speaking to trusted friends about what happened. Reaffirm your memory and your truth. 6. Heal your wounds. If you've been subjected to these behaviors for a long time, seek support. Therapy, spiritual guidance, or a strong support system can help you rebuild your confidence and self-worth. 7. Practice self-care. Recharge your energy field daily. Spend time in nature, meditate, engage in activities that uplift you. You can't pour from an empty cup. Your energy field is your most valuable asset. It influences everything: your health, your relationships, your abundance, your peace. Do not allow it to be drained by normalized but toxic behaviors. You are worthy of genuine connection, of unconditional love, of relationships that uplift and empower you, not diminish you. Choose your connections wisely and protect your sacred energy. You are here to shine brightly, not to be dimmed. Thank you for listening. May your energy field be shielded and your spirit fortified.